The moon plays a big role in how the Earth is connected to other parts of our solar system, and it also plays a big role in how we live on Earth. In this video, we'll talk about what will happen if the moon explodes. If our moon disappeared, what effect would it have on Earth? Stay tuned until the end of the video and let's all find out. The Earth hasn't been alone for nearly the whole 4.5 billion years existence of our solar system. Our enormous lunar neighbour dwarfs all other moons in size and mass. The moon has long been associated with such things as insanity or lunacy, animal behaviour or howling at the moon, farming or moon harvest, and even women's menstrual cycles. While those ties aren't scientifically valid, the moon does affect the Earth in many ways. Its destruction would be a calamity, but it would also reshape our world in fascinating ways. But what do you think will happen if our lunar explodes and was destroyed? Number 10. China is the only country to land on the dark side of the moon. State-run media in China says that a Chinese probe has set a new record by landing on the moon's far side. A search has come to the area for the first time in 60 years. The news about Chang'e 4's successful landing was sent to Earth by a spacecraft called Kuizhou. The moon's far side is always hidden from the Earth. The far side landing location also meant that Chang'e 4 was on its own during the final stages and could not be controlled from outside the spacecraft. From a height of 15 kilometers, the probe used a rocket booster to slow down and hover. Meanwhile, an onboard camera and a ranging laser looked at the ground to ensure no boulders. As an astrophysicist at the Australian National University, Brad Tucker says that the landing was a huge success, both in technology and science. The Chinese space program has kept many missions' parts as a secret, even from the scientists who worked with them. It includes the planned landing time. Number 9. There were once active volcanoes on the moon. There's still a small amount of life on the moon though. Many bursts of volcanic activity have occurred in the last 100 million years. It's just a tiny blip on the geologic timescale, and they think there'll be more eruptions in the future, but probably not in our lifetimes. Discoveries like this one point to a world that was thought to have been cold long ago, but that's not the case, says Mark Robinson of Arizona State University in Tampa, and one of the new study's co-authors. The planet is still releasing heat in fits and starts, he says. It turns out the moon is warmer than we thought. Lunar scientists have long thought that dark lava flows gave the moon's man his unique face more than 3 billion years ago. The moon's volcanic activity stopped 1 billion years ago. In the last 50 million years, geologists at Arizona State University's School of Earth and Space Exploration say that the moon has erupted with small amounts of basaltic lava. It is very recent time in geological terms. Their paper was published on October 12, 2014 in the magazine Nature Geoscience. The scientists think that the scores of unique rock deposits are younger than 100 million years old. This period was from the Earth's Cretaceous period when dinosaurs were at their best. Some places may be younger than 50 million years though. Number 8. There's a body buried on the moon. Eugene Shoemaker. Only Gene Shoemaker's ashes have been interred on the moon. Despite being a highly respected scientist, Shoemaker went unnoticed due to health issues and tragic early death. Shoemaker earned his PhD in 1960 from Princeton, where he studied crater impact dynamics. He was the first to identify the Barringer meteor crater in Arizona. Shoemaker then founded and directed the USGS Astrogeology Research Program in Flagstaff, Arizona. Shoemaker was a space pioneer for decades and a key player in the Lunar Ranger missions. Addison's illness precluded him from being the first geologist to walk on the moon. Instead, he helped train Neil Armstrong and other US astronauts for the early Apollo missions. He joined Walter Cronkite on the air as a CBS analyst. He later searched for Earth-orbiting asteroids, leading to many discoveries, including the Apollo asteroids. Despite his expertise in science and space, a simple evening in 1993 transformed Shoemaker's life. Carolyn, his wife, observed something in the sky while looking through a telescope. Shoemaker and David Levy, a Canadian astronomer with stargazing that night, identified the Shoemaker-Levy comet. the comet impacted Jupiter, making it the only time that a comet has hit a planet in our solar system, and it happens once every billion years or so. Shoemaker believed the hit debris would erupt across the solar system, visible to the human eye. Other scientists disagreed. Regardless, Shoemaker was right, and the comet's influence became the pinnacle of his groundbreaking research career. Shoemaker died in a car crash in Australia in 1997, while looking for new undiscovered impact craters. On the 31st of July 1999, the Lunar Prospector space probe delivered Shoemaker's ashes to the moon in his honor. Number 7. The moon has a spacey time zone. Franklin came up with the Lunar Mean Solar Time, or lunar time, for the moon. He came up with a plan for the local lunar time zones that looked like Earth's standard time zones. Still, they were based on meridians that were 12 degrees wide, analogous to the 15-degree intervals on Earth. So, does the moon have a time zone? Putting the moon in one time zone as a whole isn't going to work. You'll have to split the moon into several time zones as well to make it work. There are many more hours on the moon than on the Earth. It's as long as 29.5 days on Earth. Because we always see the same side of the moon, because the moon rotates on its axis at the same rate as the moon orbits the Earth, only one side of the moon can be seen from Earth. It's called a synchronous rotation or tidal locking. The moon is directly lit by the sun, and the view changes cyclically to make the moon look different. Number 6. It would take around 400,000 moons to match the brightness of the sun. Remember that the moon doesn't make its light. Instead, it reflects the sun's light. That number may seem very big at first, and not very well either. According to how far apart these three things are from one another, the moon's brightness changes on how close they are to each other. It would take about 400,000 moons to match the sun's brightness. That may seem like a huge number at first, but the moon doesn't make its light. Instead, it reflects the sun's light, and they didn't do very well either. Sky and Telescope said, the brightness of a full moon is usually said to be around -13, which is about 14 magnitudes or 400 times fainter than the sun, they say. If the moon wants to be as bright as its brightest star, it must work thousands times harder. Number 5. The moon likely formed 4.5 billion years ago. We think our moon was born when a huge, powerful impact caused it to form. Soon after the planet's now solar system began 4.5 billion years ago, the Earth looked very different. Rivers of lava flowed through the land, and seas of lava glowed red. The remnants of the solar system's formation still lay around. For a long time, Earth and another small planet moved around the Sun in the same part of our solar system. The orbit of a small planetary body crossed Earth's path, and when they collided, the impactor was broken up. It was either blown into space or put into the Earth when two things hit each other. The inner cores mixed with the Earth's dense core. As time went on, the ring of gas, dust, and molten rock started to stick together. More and more, particles were drawn to the biggest clumps, making them grow even faster. It led to the formation of our moon, which is bigger and bigger. Moon was 15 times closer to Earth, and Earth's day was only 6 hours long right after its birth. Number 4. The entire surface of the moon could fit in Asia. Even though we can see the moon in the night sky, and sometimes in the daytime, it's hard to put into perspective how big and far away our next door neighbor is. So, just how big is the moon? Earth and the moon move in the same direction in our solar system, which means that every time you look up and see the moon, you always see the same side of it. It's because the Earth and the moon move in the same direction. Earth and the moon are both lit up by the sun. It means that the side of the moon lit up at night on Earth is the side that's daytime on the moon. The moon's surface area is smaller than the area of the continent of Asia. It takes up 37.9 million square kilometers of the moon's surface and 44.4 million square kilometers of Asia's surface to cover both. In this case, if you took a measuring tape and put it around the Earth's circumference, it would measure 40,030 kilometers. It would only measure 10,916 kilometers on the moon. Number 3. During the 1950s, the USA considered detonating a nuclear bomb on the moon, making a thermonuclear blast on the moon. Sounds like a comic book villain's crazy plan, not a project run by the US government. Until 1958, when the Cold War space race was heating up, the US Air Force tried to do the same thing. Project A119 brought together some of the best scientists in the United States. How did this happen? Because the Soviet Union launched a small satellite into space called Sputnik on October 4th, 1957. It put the United States on high alert as the two Cold War superpowers fought for post-war world power. Many people thought it was a huge fight between freedom and tyranny. The thought of America's arch-enemy getting an advantage in the military-industrial complex was very scary. So the United States had to get back in the story and show the world that it had not lost the space race even before it had began. A sign that the communists weren't always in the lead and that Soviet nuclear missiles wouldn't soon be raining down on the US was what the Americans needed to feel better about the situation. There's still a chance that even the most patriotic scientists wouldn't be willing to bomb the moon just for public relations win. Number 2. The moon has quakes too. They're not called earthquakes, but moonquakes, because they happen when the moon moves. Because the Earth has a lot of weight, these things happen. It takes longer for a moonquake to occur than one on Earth. They aren't as strong as earthquakes either. The moon's continued shrinking may cause moonquakes. Researchers found that the moon is still tectonically active in a new study based on Apollo mission data. Making moonquakes as our planet makes earthquakes is what the moon does. The moon may be shaking as it shrinks, researchers say. The Earth's tectonic activity, like earthquakes and volcanoes, is caused by the movement of the planet's tectonic plates. This movement is caused by the movement of the planet's molten interior. However, the moon is smaller than the Earth. It's already cooled off, so there isn't likely to be a lot of tectonic activity there. Number 1. The moon is drifting away from the Earth. If neutron stars or black holes orbit each other and slowly collide, how come the moon orbits the Earth and slowly drifts away? There is a reason the moon is moving away from the Earth. It has to do with how the gravity of the moon and the Earth's oceans work together. When the Earth's oceans move, they form a tidal bulge because of the moon's gravitational pull. Earth's rotation causes this tidal bulge to happen in a place that's a little ahead of the moon's orbit around the Earth. It's because some of the energy from the Earth's rotation to be transferred to the tidal bulge through friction. Because of this friction, a small amount of energy is transferred into the moon's orbital motion. It pushes the moon into a new orbit farther away from the Earth than before. At about 3.78 centimeters per year, the moon moves away from the Earth. So what do you think? Do you think we're ready if our moon explodes? Let me know your thoughts and comment down below. Before the video ends, please don't forget to click the like button, subscribe to our channel and tap the notification bell for more updates and amazing videos like this one.